Hello guys, welcome back to TFD. ESPN, man, this is nasty work. Straight nasty work. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. ESPN deserves every bit of the backlash they're getting right now. The disrespect toward Caitlin Clark has officially gone too far, and at this point, it's feeling deliberate. Think about it. From players taking subtle shots to certain coaches, the Cheryl Reeve types, trying to keep her out of the Olympics. From inconsistent officiating to Kathy Engelbert to the WNBPA trying to leverage her popularity for more money while simultaneously downplaying her impact. And through all of this, the fans she brought to the table are the ones being disrespected the most. That part doesn't get talked about enough. Now, let me be very clear before people get emotional. This is not a shot at Hannah Hidalgo. I love Hannah Hidalgo. She's a problem on the floor. Notre Dame fans know what time it is. The girl will give you 13, 14 steals and lock up your favorite guard. Absolute monster. Hannah, this ain't about you. This is about ESPN pushing fake stats. Flat out. ESPN posted a graphic after Hannah's 30-point game against a ranked opponent, saying she joined elite company with 5 30-point games versus ranked teams. In that same graphic, they list JuJu Watkins with 10, Paige Bueckers with 5, and Caitlin Clark with only 7. 7? Come on, man. Come on. Anyone who actually watches the game knows that number is wrong. That's not a debate. That's a fact. Whether it's laziness or agenda-driven, putting out inaccurate stats to diminish Caitlin Clark is out of pocket. ESPN, do better. Fans see this, and they're not stupid.
All right, let's look at this. ESPN called out for misleading Caitlin Clark's stat graphic. Caitlin Clark fans will not appreciate this move from ESPN. Here it is. There's no question that Notre Dame star Hannah Hidalgo is a premier talent who should transition seamlessly into professional basketball as soon as she's eligible for the WNBA, which will be in 2027. There's also a strong case to be made that Hidalgo is the best offensive weapon in college basketball right now, at least when it comes to guards, although UConn Husky star Azzi Fudd would have a good argument as well. Yet, Hidalgo's college scoring prowess cannot compare to what Caitlin Clark produced during her time at the University of Iowa. Now, this is where the numbers start getting funny. This is where the stats stop making sense, y'all. Come on, ESPN. This is fake stats. Here's what was said. Hidalgo's Notre Dame Fighting Irish played the North Carolina Tar Heels on ESPN on January 11th in a game in which Hidalgo scored 31 points. This marked the 5th time in her college career that she scored at least 30 points against a ranked opponent. Now look. No, this is ESPN. This is the moment where they crossed the line and started pulling some nasty, bogus moves. ESPN commemorated this achievement with a graphic during the game's broadcast that has since gone viral. Most 30-point games versus AP-ranked opponents. And here, shout out to Rachel. Rachel, you've been on one. You've been mixing it up, turning the heat up on everybody. You've been cooking the ass. Here's what was said next. Rachel DeMita calls ESPN out over cherry-picked Caitlin Clark graphic. While this graphic seems easy enough to understand at first glance, the truth is a much different story. And Rachel DeMita pointed this out during a recent episode of her Courtside Club podcast. She put the graphic on her screen and said, I can't believe ESPN used this graphic. Most 30-point games versus AP-ranked opponents. So as you can see, JuJu is here, Caitlin is here, Paige is here, and Hannah Hidalgo is here. Now, if you're looking at this graphic and you're not looking at the fine details, it looks like JuJu clearly has the most 30-point games against ranked opponents. And then Caitlin Clark is second, Paige is third, and Hannah Hidalgo's creeping into that mix. But here's the reality of the situation. However, It says since 2023 to 2024. So, with that in mind, Caitlin Clark had 7 30-point games in one season. Listen carefully. In one season. And this is where it really starts to fall apart for me. They're only counting one single season of Caitlin Clark's work. One season. Explain that to me. Why? Why are we suddenly shrinking the sample size when it comes to her? Everybody else gets their entire career laid out, season by season, year by year, but with Caitlin, it's convenient to stop early. That's not consistency. That's selective framing. And this is exactly the issue I keep pointing out. This is the pattern. This is what I'm talking about when I say the numbers aren't being handled honestly. Here's what else was said.
Paige Bueckers had 5 over 2 seasons. Hannah Hidalgo had 5 over 2.5 seasons, and JuJu had 10 over 2 seasons. So let me ask this. Why does it always feel like the stats suddenly need to be reshaped just to make it look like certain players belong in the same conversation as Caitlin Clark? That's what I don't understand. Why do we keep forcing comparisons that don't need to exist in the first place? If the numbers are the numbers, then present all of them. Show the full body of work. Don't slice it down to one Caitlin Clark season while stacking it up against everyone else's entire career and pretend that's fair. That's not analysis. That's manipulation. And this is exactly what Caitlin Clark and her fans are constantly dealing with. The narratives keep changing, the standards keep shifting, the goalposts keep moving every time the facts get uncomfortable. It never stops. And at this point, it's not subtle anymore. Rachel then added, so it's not actually an accurate graphic unless you're looking at the timeline of it. All of these players have played different amounts of time in college, and it's kind of misleading because Caitlin Clark actually had 23 games with 30-plus points against AP-ranked opponents during her entire Iowa career from 2020 to 2024. So let's get this straight. Caitlin Clark put up multiple 30-point games against AP-ranked opponents in 2023 alone. That happened. I don't understand why people are playing games with the timeline, trying to rearrange the numbers to make it look like somebody else is right there with her. That's not honesty. That's spin. You don't need to bend stats or compress years just to create a debate. And that's what makes this whole thing nasty. What's the goal here? What's the end game? Because at some point, you have to respect greatness when it's right in front of you instead of constantly trying to downplay it.
I can't believe ESPN used this graphic. Most 30-point games versus AP-ranked opponents. So as you can see, JuJu's here, Caitlin's here, Paige is here, and Hannah Hidalgo is here. Now, if you're looking at this graphic and you're not looking at the fine details, it looks like JuJu clearly has the most 30-point games against AP-ranked opponents, and then Caitlin Clark is second, Paige is third, and Hannah Hidalgo is creeping in on that mix. However, it says since 2023-2024 season. So with that in mind, Caitlin Clark had 7 in one season. Paige Bueckers had 5 over 2 seasons, Hannah Hidalgo had 5 over 2.5 seasons, and then JuJu had 10 over 2 seasons. So it's not actually the most accurate graphic unless you're looking at the timeline of it. All of these players have played different amounts of time in college. And it's kind of misleading because Caitlin Clark actually had 23 games with 30-plus points against AP-ranked opponents during her entire Iowa career, which was from 2020 to 2024. Hannah Hidalgo has a season and a half left, and JuJu has 2 more seasons left, so we'll just have to see where it goes.
But this is exactly what I've been talking about. There was no reason to do this. None at all. This didn't need to happen, and yet, here we are. This is what Caitlin Clark fans are constantly up against. Stats getting twisted, narratives getting reshaped, and unnecessary controversy being created out of thin air. And for Caitlin Clark, man, this is nasty work. Straight up. You don't have to manufacture debates or play games with numbers when the greatness is already clear. ESPN has to do better than this. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think about it. I want to hear from you.